Hello viewer, welcome to my another session of MS Excel Macro 2010. In my earlier sessions, we have gone through the basics of VBA, like what is workbook, what is worksheet, what are the objects and properties of workbook and worksheets, then what is variables, how to declare variables and how to assign values to the variables, what are the data types in VBA, what is if then else statement, how to write a code using if then else statement, what are the loops, how to use loops, what is do while loop, what is for next loop, what is for each loop, and so on. So in this session we will see what is the objective of this session and how to deal with Excel workbooks in VBA code, how to open Excel workbook through VBA code, how to write code for saving an Excel workbook, how to write a code to close an Excel workbook. So objective of this session is, after this session you will be able to write a VBA code for opening an Excel workbook, saving an Excel workbook and closing an Excel workbook. To get started, first we will see what is the task we are going to do in this session. So what are the macro we are going to create in this session? So our task in this session is to write a VBA code, to write a subroutine to open these two files, data1.xlsx and data2.xlsx, and after that we will copy the data of sheet 1 from data1.xlsx and then paste it to sheet 2 of data2.xlsx, and after that we will write a code to save the file data2.xlsx after the changes, and finally we will write a code to close the file data2.xlsx. So this is the activity for which we are going to write a code in VBA. To get started, we will open a new Excel workbook, and here we will click on developer menu, and from developer menu you can see the Visual Basic Editor tab. Just click on it. Now we are placed into the Visual Basic Editor. From here we will double click on sheet 1 so that we are placed into the editor now, where we can write subroutine. To get started, just start with sub and just place some name. So in this case I am giving demo for workbook activities. Now between sum and end sum we will write a VBA codes for opening workbook, copying and pasting, and then saving, and then finally closing the workbook. Let's start with the open code for opening workbook. So for opening a workbook, the code will be workbooks.open, and once you press spacebar you will see the information displayed in yellow strip. Here file name as a string, that means you need to provide the file name, and which is the mandatory parameter, and after that the rest of the parameters are optional. So for this session you will be using only the file name, and rest of the things we will be seeing in my later sessions, where I'll be explaining in detail the advanced VBA programming. So for the time being I'm just mentioning the file name. So for that I'll go to our directory. Here I will copy the path and go back to the Visual Basic Editor. Just mention it in double quotes. So before that I'll start the double quote and then paste it, and after that I will give the file name which we need to open. So here in this case data1.xlsx, and then again the next line will be open a data2.xls file. So just copy the code line 1, paste below that, and just change the file name. Here the code for opening the file is ready now. Now our task is to copy the data of sheet 1 from data1.xls and paste it into sheet 2 of data2.xlsx. So for that, first we need to activate the data1.xlsx. We need to activate it because once we open the file file gets activated. So the latest file opened here is data2.xlsx. So data2 will be activated, would have been activated. So for getting data1.xlsx activated, just write the code workbooks and in bracket the index number, in this case data1.xlsx dot activate. Now data1.xls is activated. Now we will write a code to activate the sheet 1. So for that, the code will be the workbook.data1.xlsx and then worksheets, and in this case as we are going to copy the data from sheet 1, so we will give sheet 1 and then dot activate. Now sheet 1 is activated of data1.xlsx. Now we will copy the range from A1 to D18. So for that, and then worksheets sheet 1 dot range A1 colon D18 dot copy. Now we are copying, and after copying we need to provide the destination where it has to be pasted. So the destination would be, again we will copy the same thing for syntax. Just copy till here, till range, and then paste here, and we will change now the destination, that is data2.xls, and then sheet 2, and then range will be A1 because we will be pasting data from A1. So here we will mention A1. Now this code is doing nothing but copying data from sheet 1 of data1.xlsx and pasting it in sheet 2 of data2.xlsx. Now we will make the application dot cut copy mode equals to false. This code is nothing but it's clearing the data copied on clipboard, so that if the large amount of data is copied on the clipboard, then Excel will give you the warning that the large amount of data is copied on the clipboard. Do you want to keep it, or and so on. So this code is basically doing nothing but the clearing the clipboard data which is just copied. And after that, our target is that to close the sheet, close the data2.xlsx file. So for that, what we'll do here, we will write a code again for closing it. So for closing the data2.xls file, I'll be writing a code here dot close. Now our code is ready. Now we will test it. For testing it, just go back to the Excel workbook. For that, just click on this object. Now we are placed into the Excel workbook, wherein we have written the code for opening workbook and closing workbook. We will run the macro. Just run it, and you have seen. Do you want to save the changes you made to data2.xls? Why this is asking? Because we have not written the code for saving the workbook. So we will not save it. Just click on don't save, and then close the data1.xls. Go back to the Visual Basic editor, and here before closing we will write a code for saving the Excel workbook, that is data 2. So now what am I going to do here? I'm just going to save the changes which we made in data2.xls with the help of VBA code for copying and pasting data from sheet 1 of data1.xlsx file. So for saving, you just need to mention save. That's it. So this one line of code will stop Excel from prompting us the save warning. Now our code is completely ready. We will run this. For running this, just go to the Excel workbook and run the code. Now you have seen Excel has done the task which we have assigned through the VBA. Now we will see the data which has been copied from sheet 1 of data1.xls and has been pasted in sheet 2 of data2.xlsx files. So we will open the data2.xls file. Now just go to the sheet 2 and you will see data from sheet 1 of data1.xls file has been copied to sheet 2 of data2.xlsx file. So this way we have learned how to open an Excel workbook and how to save the data in Excel workbook and how to close the Excel workbook file through VBA code. So now you would have been able to write a code for opening, saving and closing the Excel workbook. So in my next session, I'll be coming up with some advanced VBA codes. Thank you, viewer.